if there's kind of one piece of advice you could kind of give back to your younger self, whether that's the one going through the initial, I'll shop it up, Ostis pubis. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get there one day.
No, don't worry.
Whether it was dealing with that, or whether there's a piece of advice you'd have for yourself through that tendon issue. Was there something like, what was one thing you kind of wish you could tell yourself at that younger age?
Yeah. So I think it's a difficult one because the main thing I've learned about the injuries is I've probably learned just as much, if not more, about myself from injuries than actually playing rugby. Maybe equally or whatever, but I've learned a lot, and it's also certainly made me more. It's made me more diligent in terms of hard work or routine, knowing the importance of that. Um, and so it'd be easy for me to turn around and say, "Oh, I should have worked harder or I should have worked smarter or whatever." But figuring that out was a whole process in itself that's probably put me in a good mind frame for just life in general, if that makes sense. I'm probably a bit wishy washy with that, but it's if I turned around to myself and said you need to work harder, I would have actually probably there was a point where I was working on that injury too hard, if you know what I mean. So I kind of figured it out in the end, if that makes sense. So yeah, I would say massively trial and error. The one thing I would say actually in terms of advice is be curious, ask questions, find the right people to speak to. Don't just sit down and wait for something to happen for you because it won't. You have to go out and find out the right people to speak to and be curious with it all. Make sure you go out and ask people questions because that's how you find answers and that's how you end up getting into a trial and error situation. And then, sorry, to go back to something you said about watching your teams play, it just made me think of something that I always think about. I used to say all the time is I used to probably, one thing that's hard about watching your other team, in complete honesty, is watching somebody play in your position and play really well. That's people don't like talking about that because they want
No,
to
they
be
don't. But it's
they
true, isn't
don't
it? Yeah, yeah.
people want to be team players, which I certainly like to think that I am. What I would say about it is all it means is that I would never be annoyed at somebody for I've had teammates who quite clearly make it out as if they don't
Yeah.
like someone in their position. I was never like that. Um,
Position hate.
yeah,
That's the
exactly.
word.
Exactly. I'd then wants to play better than that person. You play well, I'll play better than you. Everyone's in a better position rather than the team, but it certainly makes it's certainly not easy when you get injured and someone plays really well in that position. That can also be something that's not the best to do, that you learn from whilst you're injured too.
Yeah, I mean that's such a because interesting is that we don't like talking about it, and I think it interests me almost why we don't like talking about it. Because I remember all the jokes are, oh, he's nicked your position and whatever, and obviously sometimes you laugh it off, other times you're like, oh yeah, hang a minute, bit of shoulders back kind of thing. But as you're right, more than anything, it makes you want to play better, and I think the more in my experience, the more I was able to disassociate the person from the position and be like, okay, I'm going for that shirt, and I'm trying to, competing with them, but it's a healthy competition. That kind of helped me, kind of manage that when it was, dealing with that. So